Well, let's jump over to Kauai for a little while. I live in Hanalei, and it's one of the funnest places I've ever surfed. Nice, long right-hand point. Once again, it was formed very much like Sunset Beach was. During the Ice Age, when the sea levels were down 100 and 125 feet lower, there used to be a huge river coming out at Hanalei Bay, much like there is today, but the river was 100 feet lower, and it carved this big canyon in the riverbed that now the sea has come back up and filled it all in, and we're surfing over the edge of the layer of this canyon. Hanalei is pretty unique because it's a straight up and down cliff that goes all the way out and winds around to the point. It's really pretty profound when you get under the water at Hanalei and you're diving up and down the bowl and you see this big old ledge, and you look back in and you see all these caves and cracks that go right up underneath where everyone's surfing. Back there are a bunch of lobsters, like this big old beautiful regal slipper lobster, and these red aveo fish, the big-eyed fish. Sharks live back in some of the caves. But Hanalei is suffering a lot of problems right now. I've been studying this for about 5 years under the water and above the water. There's been a lot of people that have been digging in the Hanalei River in violation of some of the wildlife laws. This mud and sediment and toxins is being released out into the bay, and it's killed a lot of the corals. As you can see, some of these corals were a beautiful brown, tan, greenish color. Then they turn white, and then they die altogether and get covered with mud and algae. Out at Hanalei, there's a couple deep holes in the middle of the reef, in between the point and the bowl. We all know it is called flat rock. It's actually not a flat rock, but it's a series of big holes, kind of canyons in the reef. Years ago, these canyons and holes were all filled with antler coral and cauliflower coral and rice corals and all these beautiful corals. That made more of a drag on the underside of the wave, also made the wave hollower, but it allowed the point to connect with the bowl a little bit better. Now that all the flooding and the material that's been washed out onto the reef from the floods, that's knocked the coral off and killed a lot of the coral, and covered it with mud and sediment to kill the rest of the coral, now these big holes don't have a lot of coral coverage inside the cracks in the holes. So the reef is much more up and down. This way, when the wave breaks, then it's going to back off in the middle section and be almost like two waves instead of one wave. Hanalei is a really, really good example of how to kill a coral reef, number one, and how that affects the surf and will continue to affect the surf down the road. And we're only talking about the relationship between the surf and the reef here. We'll also have major problems with bacteria out on the reef that comes out of the rivers. We've been studying this new cyanobacteria that's been killing all of the corals, and that bacteria has a potential to harm humans. So we have a lot of problems we have to figure out so we can maintain our surf reefs in a healthier condition here for our future generation.